Hey, what's up, y'all? It is a beautiful day out here today. The sunrise is happening earlier, the sun is setting later, and that means the days are getting longer. And that means that summer's around the corner. And pool season's almost here. Not really. I mean, we probably got a few months, but anyway, it's like one of our favorite times of year, you know, just being out and absorbing the sun and enjoying that kind of weather. So I wanted to talk today about this concept that we discussed at our last Mastering Real Food for a Lifetime meeting. And it was this concept around E. Well, first of all, you may have seen this equation before. E equals MC, but this time not squared, because I think someone coined the other one. But E equals MC stands for energy equals mood condition. And it was such a great little discussion because it helped us acknowledge the importance of understanding what it is that we're getting when we get increased energy from a real food way of eating. And if we can acknowledge that your mood is synonymous, if not completely equal to your energy, then it gives us leverage to try to do the right thing when it comes to eating and our other lifestyle factors. And so what I want to share with you today is our little concept around energy equals mood, not squared. And I want to talk about how eating real food affects your emotions. And I want to talk about how training your body to be metabolically flexible and fat burning supports your emotions and your mood. And I want to talk about how to know if what you're doing is moving you in a good direction. How do you know if what you're doing is working? And then of course, we'll finish with this is what you can do to improve your energy and your mood condition. So let's get started. First of all, when people come to work with us, we try to explain to them that they have no idea how their life is going to change. Because most people come to us, of course, wanting specific symptoms and conditions to change, but a lot of people want their energy levels to change. And when you think about what do we mean by wanting our energy to change? Because you know, a lot of us probably, you know, before figuring this stuff out or attempting to figure this stuff out, you know, have kind of low afternoon energy, and therefore we're grouchy and irritable and reactionary. And so when you think about it, energy could also be synonymous with, like, we want to feel better. We want to show up to life happier and different. Now, a lot of us have very challenging and difficult life situations. And I think the reality is that we're always going to have challenging life situations. You know, it's like those things are always going to come and go. And you know, some of it you can't control. You just have to change how you perceive things and what your response is to those things. But what you can control is how you show up to life, how you perceive things because of your energy and your mood. And that's why this is such a life-changing experience to figure out real food and to train your body how to make the energy the right way, because your life will change simply because you're showing up to life different and you're happy and you're in a good mood and you're emotionally stable. So a really important thing to understand is that nutritional sufficiency has a lot to do with your mood. Now, why is that? Well, first of all, what is nutritional sufficiency? Well, I think nutritional sufficiency could be viewed as the opposite of nutritional deficiency, which means you basically have everything that your body needs to contribute to everything that it needs to do. So that's the first half of showing up to life different and having a good mood condition. It is being nutritionally sufficient. So when we teach people how to eat real food, one of the purposes of real food that we explain to people, why are we eating real food in the first place? Why are we eating food in general? Like, regardless of what you believe in, what's the purpose of real food? Well, one of the biggest purposes is nutrients to help you build this body. Because everything that you see here in this physical form is nutrient-based. And everything that happens from a function standpoint, from a metabolic standpoint, from a reaction standpoint inside the body, has nutrient precursors. And all the things that contribute to our emotions, things like serotonin, have nutrient precursors. Our neurotransmitters are made of amino acids. Our cells' ability to communicate, and our tissues and organs and systems, and everything that happens inside the body requires nutrients first. So if we eat for nutrients, then we're giving the body what it needs to do what it needs to do, including creating good energy and good emotions. So that's probably the first step that you want to focus on, is learning how to eat for nutrients and prioritize nutrients. Now, the second half of that, or the second part of eating to feel good, would be creating energy the right way. So our second purpose for eating real food is going to be energy creation. So most people understand that when we eat real food, what's up?
How you doing?
I got a cameo here by Yolanda and Jeff. I don't know if they can see in that or not.
You better be in the video.
You will. I'll put you on there. Later. All right, so the second half of that is creating energy the right way. So the second purpose of eating real food, think about why are we eating real food? Most people would agree, or why eating food in general, whatever you believe in. Most people would agree that, oh, well, we're eating it for energy. Well, it's true that we do get some energy from food. What we want to do is eat real food in a way that trains the body how to use fat for fuel to become metabolically flexible. Now, the reality is that we can get energy from carbs or fat. All right, it's a very simplistic way of looking at things, but that's the way it is. And what we mean by carbs are dominant sources of starch and sugar, because those get broken down into glucose, and glucose you could think of as sugar, but technically it's not, it's glucose. So when we say we can get energy from carbs, what we mean is carbs that are broken down into glucose, so starchy and sweet things like safe starches and fruits and honey and things like that. We can also get energy from fat. That can be dietary fat or that can be body fat. Now, for the majority of human history, humans have burned fat for fuel as their primary source of energy all the way up until the advent of agriculture and transitioning over to a grain-based and carbohydrate-based diet. But the default has always been using fat for fuel, because you think about what this fat is that's on us, this excess body fat is a rechargeable fuel source that is there. It is stored energy for when we're not eating. And so it was an evolutionary adaptation to starvation, which made us very flexible and versatile. We could go through periods of not eating and look for more food, and it wouldn't completely derail us, right? But now a lot of us have transitioned into being completely dependent upon food and carbohydrates, and if we don't eat, we do get derailed. So we can get energy from carbs or fat, and our evolutionary preference is for fat, but what we've done in this modern world is made a preference for carbohydrates and just food in general. So what we want is to train the body how to use fat for fuel, because it already knows how to use sugar for fuel. It already knows how to use glucose for fuel. First of all, most of us are eating a lot of carbohydrates. So that's how it knows how to use glucose for fuel. But even if you weren't, let's say that you went 10 years low carb, complete no carb, and you measured your blood glucose levels, you still have glucose in your bloodstream, because your body has a lot of internal mechanisms for creating glucose. All right, so we don't need help learning how to use glucose for fuel or carbs for fuel, because we already know how to do that really well. Most of us do not know, or most of our bodies do not know how to use fat for fuel. Now, using fat for fuel is less damaging long term. It's better for health. It creates less oxidative damage, and it gives us all the things that we're looking for. If I teach my body how to use my body fat for fuel, now I'm walking around with this almost indefinite fuel source that I can use all the time. And that means, because it's right there with me, I have consistent energy levels, smooth energy levels. I'm not dictated by food and carbs to make me feel better. I don't have spikes and crashes, and this equates to consistent energy moves. Now, physiologically, of course, like a lot of physiological adaptations start to happen. You start to lose your body fat because your body sees it as a reliable fuel source. Your digestion starts to get better. You're not eating all the time because you're not hungry all the time, because you're becoming nutritionally sufficient and you're using fat for fuel. So everything that we're looking for from a real food way of eating really depends on this idea around training the body how to be metabolically flexible, which really means training the body how to use fat for fuel, because we all know how to use sugar for fuel. So when you train your body how to use fat for fuel, everything changes. Your energy creation comes from your body fat stores versus being dependent upon food. Your performance in the gym is very flexible and adaptive versus being dependent upon pre-workout and post-workout and probably mid-workout. Your energy levels are much more consistent. Your mood is much more consistent and predictable and reliable versus being dependent upon food and carbohydrates. Your energy is very sporadic. It's dictated by meals. It's dictated by carb intake. You have spikes and crashes. You're very irritable and anxious and reactionary and unstable. And so everything, again, that we're looking for from a real food way of eating depends on training the body how to use fat for fuel, because the body already knows how to use glucose for fuel. Now, the reason that this is so impactful for your mood is because, think about it. if you have consistent energy levels, then your body is not sending you these emergency alarm signals to do something because your sugar is dropping or your energy is dropping. If you have consistent energy levels, your body can prioritize other things beyond forcing you to rush and find something to eat because you don't feel good. If you create energy the right way, you're not eating as often. Most of us probably eat 1 or 2 times a day naturally without even trying. And that frees the body up to do other stuff. It also frees you up to do other stuff because life happens when you're not eating. Eating should be a very small part of our life. It should be a very enjoyable part of our life, but it should be a very small part of our life. And when you're metabolically flexible and metabolically efficient, your body, it's healing itself. It's less damaging. You're not dealing with all the different issues. So it's almost as if a good mood is an indicator for doing things the right way. And that's kind of what we were trying to get people to understand, is that energy equals mood condition. They're almost synonymous, if not identical. Check in with yourself, and if you are in a really good mood, well, first of all, in the context of trying to eat real food and do things the right way, because of course you can increase your energy with caffeine and methamphetamine or something, and you're not going to have the same experience. But in the context of trying to eat real food and trying to be metabolically flexible, check in with yourself. On the days that you feel really good, chances are that you probably had a couple of days of really good eating, and you were probably strategic with your carbohydrates, and you were probably looking more like a real foodie. And if you can acknowledge that, then I think it gives you leverage to want to do more of the same. Your mood, you're in a good mood and you're showing up to life different, and people are saying things about you in a good, positive way because you're doing the right thing when it comes to real food. You're eating real food and you're training the body to be metabolically flexible. So those are really the things that you want to look for. You want to look for your physiological symptom changes. You want to see body composition changes. That's how you know you're doing it right. But then also, you want to notice changes and improvements in your mood and your energy levels. And if that's hard for you to do because sometimes those changes are very subtle and it's difficult for us to pick up on those things as individuals, pay attention to what people are saying to you. Because a lot of times people will notice, man, you're just different. There's something different about you. Your mood is different. You're cool, you're calm, you're collected. You don't react the way you used to. Those are all indications and signs that you're doing the right thing as far as real food and metabolic flexibility. Here's what to do. If you want a better life, if you want to show up to life with more energy and or better mood, remember energy equals mood condition, you have to prioritize eating real food, and you have to prioritize eating for nutrients and training the body how to be metabolically flexible, which means that we would recommend learning from us, because I don't think there's a better way than the SHT, because we're flexible, adaptive, we're always evolving, and that is our priority when it comes to real food, is eating for nutrients and eating in a way that nurtures metabolic flexibility and efficiency. All right, the next thing is always look for and pay attention to your good days and your good mood days, and acknowledge the things that contributed to you feeling good, having good energy, and being in a good mood. Chances are, if you're in a good mood and you're feeling good, it's because you had a couple days of doing the right thing. And this gives credit where credit is due, and it helps give momentum to what it is that you're doing, so you have more days like that. Because it's almost like you want to use tomorrow for today. If I feel so good right now, I want to feel good again tomorrow, so I'm going to make better decisions today so I can have a better tomorrow. So give credit where credit is due. That will give you some leverage to continue to make better decisions when it comes to your real food nutrition way of eating. And then finally, I think we can have some compassion for either ourselves, if we're trying to figure this out, and or other people around us that are grumpy and grouchy and irritable and reactionary and tired. It's because they don't have the right information. They don't know what we know, or they don't know what we're learning. Because if they did, I guarantee you, their energy and therefore their mood would be completely different. Everyone deserves to live a life with good energy and good mood, regardless of your life situation or condition. And that's something that's totally within your control, within our control, within everyone's control. Everyone deserves the gift of happiness that comes from being healthy and learning how to eat real food and prioritize fitness and sleep and all the stuff that we try to talk about on a regular basis. So anyway, my point there with that last point is just, this should also give us some compassion and help us understand that when people are the way they are, including ourselves, It's not necessarily because we're being bad or they're being bad. It's because it's like we're toxic. We're just not doing things the right way. And it happens to all of us. And those of us that are on this journey, it happens to us a lot less often, but we can also introduce compassion to ourselves and other people as we're all trying to figure this stuff out, okay? Hope that's useful. Send me some feedback, questions, comments, and snide remarks. I'm always open to them. Y'all take it easy and always keep it real.